Hey there. Do you still need some Christmas gift ideas? Have you ever thought about board games? I've got a whole bunch to share with you today that are from my collection that I think would make great Christmas gifts for teenagers or adults, and if not for Christmas, maybe for a birthday or something else later on in the year, or for yourself. It is so fun, and if you haven't gotten into it, you might want to check it out. And I've got a big variety here, and that is the fun thing about board games, especially nowadays. If you haven't been paying attention or playing many board games lately, it's a whole new world out there. It is so different from when we were growing up. There's just so many different themes and levels of difficulty and challenges and artwork and creativity. It's so fun. I just got into it this year, and so these are some of my collection that I wanted to share today. But anyway, I think you're going to enjoy getting a glimpse at all these games. I will clear these off and we'll get started. Okay, first up is AZUL. As you can see by the box here, it's a tile laying game. This is what the inside of the box looks like. They really did a nice job with that, I thought. So you have these Portuguese tiles that you're going to be tiling your palace wall with, and you'll be taking turns with the other players. This is your own player board, choosing from the tiles in the display to fill up your lines over here. Once a line is full, you can slide one over to start tiling your wall. And when you tile your wall, that's how you start earning points to win the game. So for example, let's just pretend gameplay has happened and I've picked a few tiles here on my different turns, and I'll just take some here. Let's see, I'll take that guy. Okay, and let's say all the tiles are gone, so now it's time to score points for everybody for that round. I have this row full, so I can slide him over and I can get 1-2 points because it's connected. It scores kind of like Scrabble. This row is full, so I can move one over and it will score 1, 2, 3, 4. This row is not full, so I don't slide it over. That one's not full. This one is, so I can put it over here for 1, 2. And that continues through multiple rounds until somebody has finished a horizontal row on their wall. That triggers the end of the game. At the end of the game, you've finished scoring that round, and then down here you'll have bonus points for every vertical row that you finish. You get 7 extra points. For every horizontal, you get 2 extra points. And then if you end up with 10, or I should say 5 of any one color on your wall, you'll get an extra 10 points. Most points wins. It's just a fun game. It's an easy, quick teach, and a lot of different age groups can play it. The tiles are just so nice. They feel good in your hand. They're a good weight. They're pretty. And another thing that's fun about this game is the production company also did, I don't even know, maybe 10 other versions of AZUL that have different color schemes and a little bit different player board. Maybe some of them look more like stained glass or that type of thing. This is the only one that I have, but we've had a lot of fun playing it and have played it with from a 5-year-old to an 82-year-old, so it's great for that. All right, this is Takenoko, and in this game you're in Japan in a Japanese garden helping the gardener grow bamboo, because this little panda lives in the garden. Actually, so does this little girl panda, if you get the expansion box for it. And so the players will be taking turns moving the gardener around, and he will grow the bamboo, but somebody may also move the panda, which will eat the bamboo. So you just keep going round and round, growing the bamboo. Panda eats the bamboo. The goal is to get the most points possible, which you do through these objective cards. There is a panda stack, a tile stack, and a gardener stack, and they each have different things to fulfill in order to get the point value that is on them. And so each turn you're going to have 5 options here on your board for your action, and you get to do 2 per turn. So for example, for me, and there's a weather dice too that gives you different bonus options. But for me, let's just say that I wanted to fulfill this objective of these plots matching this pattern. I would choose to pick a tile. Let's see if I can get a pink. I get to pick from 3 tiles, and voila, there's a pink tile. So that's matching this pattern. but that also says it has to be irrigated, and the pond in the middle is how you get water to all the different plots. But I also have the option to irrigate, so I could do that for my second turn here, which would fulfill this objective, and I would put it here to score at the end of the game. There's other options to do, so let's say on another turn I wanted to move the panda. I want to get these 3 bamboo, so I move here and eat the green bamboo. I already had a yellow, I still need a pink, so I can't do 2 of the same action, so I'll have to wait till my next turn to move the panda again. But I could work on this one, which is having 2 stacks of pink bamboo. So I can choose to move the gardener, and he grows the bamboo wherever he moves to. Oops. And so play just continues until, depending on the player count, for 2 players, whenever somebody has fulfilled 9 objectives, the game ends and you count the points at that point. So let's just say on my next turn, I would move my panda over here, eat that one, and I can fulfill this objective. And they go back in the supply. Oops. I love this game just because visually it's so fun. The kids can play this game too with a little bit of help, but there's all these different tiles. There's more rules, of course, than what I just told you, but that's sort of the gist of it. Just very inviting. And the production value was so great. The quality of everything, and this insert is so nice. This box here is what holds the tiles. They did a nice job with that. And then I love the directions too, which are written like cartoon. Like a cartoon. It's really inviting. People are so creative. It's a great game. Okay, this is Honey Buzz, and I happen to have the deluxe version, which just upgrades some of the components, like these nectars that are over here in the field are tiles versus cardboard, and then there's the first player marker, which is this fun little honey stick, and the fan pieces are wood in the deluxe version. Anyway, a lot of these games you can get in a standard version or a deluxe or Kickstarter version, and usually that just means if it's deluxe it's got upgraded components, and it usually means it's like wood or something like that. These components are so great. This is the honey. In Honey Buzz you are going to be producing 4 different kinds of honey. These bees are. You have your own little hive, and then you are going to be able to sell that honey at the market or to fulfill orders to other critters in the forest. So you have cherry blossom honey. These are such nice feeling little components. I don't know what they made them out of. And you have wildflower honey, acacia honey, and rosemary honey. And at the market, each of these kinds of honey are worth different points. And you may also collect pollen in the field if you aren't able to collect nectar, and the pollen is worth points too. So each player will have their own hive and bees, and they'll be also creating their own hive out here in front of them. Each player will have their own with these tile pieces over here. And you'll send out worker bees to collect a tile. So let's just say this here. Let's say I need to finish this cell, because when I finish a cell I can put a nectar in it and then I can produce honey to sell. So if I think, okay, I need to finish that, I'm going to send a worker bee over here and I'll get this tile, and now I've completed a cell, and the shape of this one and the colors of it indicate to me that it's a cherry blossom. So I will need to, now that it's completed, I can activate whatever is around here on my tiles. This one means forage in the field because it's flowers. So I can take my bee over here in the field and move one space at a time, and here I've landed on my cherry blossom. So I can put that one in there. Now I have my nectar. Next I'm going to do my fan. That's what that symbol is. The fan makes the nectar produce honey. So now I can put my cherry blossom on here. and then this symbol lets me go to the market and sell it. So if I look over at the chart, cherry blossom is worth 6 points. So if I sell that, I get 6 coins here to start saving, and the most points wins at the end. And then I have one more symbol here. I have a new bee, so I can take a pink bee. Right now I only have these 3 bees. I have more over here in the supply that aren't mine yet. I can take one out and put it in the bee nursery, and the next time around, not the next time, as soon as all my worker bees are out here and I have no more left, I can recall all my bees, and when I recall, my baby bee becomes a worker bee. And so you keep doing that, trying to get more and more bees, because the more bees you have, the more pieces of the hive you can get to expand your hive and collect more nectar, make more honey, sell more honey. Now if I decided to complete an order, I should flip each of these over. These are what's available at the start of the game here. So like this order, if I have a wildflower honey and a cherry blossom honey, I can fulfill that order for 7 points. So I could do that. Let's just say I did that and I had the honey and I fanned it and put it in there. Then I would keep this card so I would know I have 7 points at the end. And then I would flip that card over. I also get a bonus move depending on which stack I took it from. This particular one lets me forage, so I could move my guy again. And if I had a sell for it, I could take that nectar and put it in it. It's got a lot of different components to it. There's a lot of different strategies for this game. It takes a little bit to learn. It's definitely visually challenging to think about how you're going to turn these to make the right shape and to get the right colors. Like if you notice here, there's red on some areas and yellow on others, and depending on the honey you're making, where those colors line up in the cell, if that makes sense. It takes probably an hour to 2 hours to play, depending on how many people you have and how long people sit there trying to strategize. But it is really interesting and fun. There's a lot of different things to do. And this game, the deluxe version, was pretty expensive. It was, I think, $75. I think the base version is about $50. But for me, learning these games, and the 2 previous that I shared too, the one previous, TAKENOKO, it also has a little bit of a learning curve to learn it. But once you learn it, it's not that it's hard. It's just you got to get through the rules to figure it out. But I love that process of unboxing the game, seeing all the components, enjoying the rule book, because the rule books are usually beautiful, and learning the game together, and then doing your first playthrough, and then the more you play, the more you got the rules figured out. But to me, it's just part of the fun, is that time to learn the game. It's a lot more fun when you and the person you're playing with neither have played it, and you discover the game together. I really love that. Sometimes it can be a little harder when you're trying to learn a game that everybody else knows and somebody's trying to do the teach on it. So that can be a little more challenging. But I think it's really fun to learn a game together with somebody and go through the process. So if you have a couple in mind that you want to get a gift for, I think getting a brand new game for them could be awesome just because of that. It's really fun to do. Fun to learn it together, and fun then just to have the game to play. Next up is Sky Team. This is such a unique and fun game. I also like that it's in a small box, so it's more portable to take places. There are lots of little components, so that maybe you wouldn't want to travel with it, but it's just nice to see a small box game. First of all, the production on this game was amazing. Even though it's a lot of cardboard, it's really good quality, and I love all the recessed portions of the board. They're that way because you're going to be placing dice into these different places here, so it holds them. And then there's these little cardboard switches here for flaps and for landing gears and for brakes. And so what's happening in this game is you and the co-pilot have got to land this plane. And you're at different airports. There's 20 some different scenarios. There's air traffic. You got to maintain your axis, you know. You're going to turn, keep it straight before you land. You maybe got to go around traffic, and then you got to level back out. You got to maintain your engine speed for the right. You're approaching, here is your altitude, so as you're coming down to the airport, but you also have to manage your tracking how close you are to the airport. So this is, can't think of the right word for it, but this is your altitude and this is your distance, and you got to manage them together. Right now this is off, so you're going to be down to the ground before you get to the airport, so you're going to have to speed up or put some flaps on, or the brakes. Well, the brakes are for when you land, but yeah, got to use the flaps, not the brakes, when you're flying. So you don't have to know about flying to play this game, but pilots help design this game. And so my dad is a pilot, and he played the last time he was over here, and he thought it was really fun because of that. So it's pretty realistic, all the things you have to kind of manage together. So that's what's going to happen. You have a pilot and a co-pilot. You each have 4 dice. And you're going to roll them each round and use those numbers on this board to calculate your speed, your axis, your brakes, when you're putting flaps on and stuff. So, but it's secret. So you're going to roll the dice. You don't know what each other has. And once you've rolled your dice, there's no talking. And so what happens is you each have to place your 4 dice on the board. So if I put a 2 here and the pilot puts a 3, his number was bigger, so my axis turns 1 over. So now we're doing this. And then maybe I'm going to put over here, I'm going to call the radio the tower because we've got this traffic, and I'm going to put a 2 down because 1, 2, I can take away that traffic right there. But the pilot says I need to get a landing gear down. So he puts a 1 here because it can be a 1 or a 2. I already had that one turned on, so let me turn these back off. So once he puts down the landing gear, he can then switch that one open like that, so we know that one's down. But we have to place one here, here, and here. So I am going to place this one here, a 6, and my pilot places a, let's see here, a 2. 6 and 2 is 8. It's between these numbers here, which means we have traveled this distance, which is good because now we're level back up. The last spot we have to do is here at the brakes, or not the brakes. It's just those. That's not true. You have to place, both the pilot and the co-pilot have to place at the axis and at the engine speed. Then it's at your discretion, your other 2 dice, whether you're going to put on brakes, landing gears, get rid of traffic, or put flaps on. But the co-pilot has a lot of flaps to put on, so they got to be pretty on top of that. So my last one, I might just get a flap on. But let's say the pilot doesn't have a 3, 4, 5, or 6 and isn't worried about the traffic. One other option is if you really don't have a spot to put it, or if you know your dice numbers are not good, if you put it down here at the coffee break area, you can gain a coffee. And these coffees will let you change your dice number by that many. So let's say that I wanted to get traffic off at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or something, and I had a 2, then I could use these 3 coffees to make that a 5, and I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and take that one off of there. So that's how your coffees work, plus or minus. What makes this obviously very challenging is that you can't talk to determine what you're going to do, and the dice numbers are secret. Between rounds, you keep going until you either hit traffic and crash, or you landed and you were going too fast, you didn't get enough brakes on, or you didn't get all your landing gears down so you crash. There's all different ways that you can can lose. So what makes this challenging is that you can't talk once you've rolled your dice. You each play out your 4 dice. Once that's done, that round is over, and you leave everything as is on the board, but you pick up your dice. And now you can talk strategy, but not dice numbers. So we could say, we have got a ton of traffic. We have got to focus on traffic, and at some point we better get brakes on, something to that effect. But then once you roll, no more talking. You can't say, well, I'm going to put high numbers over here or anything like that. It's super fun. And then as you get more challenged, there's a whole booklet of all sorts of things that can happen. You can start running out of fuel. You can start having high winds or snow. This is like a fuel thing that you're keeping track of as you go. Sometimes another dice gets in the mix, or sometimes these special powers over here. So like there's one in here where if you both during a round, if the pilot puts on one landing gear, and I also put on as a co-pilot a flap, if that happens in the same round, you get an extra dice to be able to put somewhere on the board. So it's fun little ways that they change up the game. The other thing that's nice about this game is it takes like 15 to 20 minutes max and you're done with the game. So it's fun to have a really good puzzly thinking game and fun game, and good challenge in that quick of a time. And of course you can just play multiple back to back if you want to. It's a really great game, and I think it's about $30. So and it's just strictly a 2-player game. I forgot to mention on the previous game, some of those Honey Buzz is possible to play solo if you want to. I haven't tried it, and I don't think Takenoko is. But that's the other thing about all these games is you'll come across quite a few that are they have like another section of the rule book that gives you different ways to play it solo. Okay, I have another small box game called HIVE. It is a multiple award winner. It is a lot like chess in that each of the pieces has certain ways that they can move according to their kind. And also people like it because of the strategy in it reminds them of chess. What's great about this game is that it is so portable. It's got this little zip bag that you can take it with you if you're traveling or going to the park or going to the beach or wherever. These are heavy duty, like, I don't know if it's resin or what, but you can wipe them off and clean them, and they're not little pieces to get lost, so it's great that way too. And my husband and my son, who love chess, love this and enjoy it, but we also can play it with the 5-year-old, so it's great that way too. What's also nice about this is because of the way the game works, they're always very quick games. So usually chess can be a long game unless you're purposely making it short. So you get like a chess feel, but in a lot quicker time frame. So what happens is each player has a queen bee that they're trying to keep away from the other insects and spiders, because the goal of the game is to surround the opponent's queen bee. And so you start off and somebody goes first and say, I play the spider. The first move, nothing exciting happens because there's no moves to happen. But now the stage is set. Okay, so I set up a little scenario here to show you how each of the pieces might move. I'm still learning this game. I'm not the best at it, but my husband and my son love it. So here are the bees, and we're trying to get them surrounded. So, for example, this grasshopper can jump in a straight line. So it could jump all the way over and start to surround my bee here. And even though it's my pieces, that's still surrounding the bee. My turn. So spider can move 3, or must move 3. So 1, 2, 3. Now I'm working at surrounding this bee. The beetle can go up on top and trap. With whatever it lands on is trapped right there. It can't move. So it can move 1 at a time. And I could work my way over 1 turn at a time. This isn't laid out very good. But a good move is to get on top of the other queen bee, and then she can't get out of the way when I start trying to surround her. And then the soldier ant on its turn can go anywhere it wants. It can just go up and go to one space. So I could move that person could move the soldier ant right there and be working at surrounding me here. If I can still slide out, queen bee can move one at a time. But once it's like pinched close a bit and you can't slide in and you have to like drop in, the only thing that can drop in is a beetle and a grasshopper. So like this, let's create a scenario here. Let's say that this was like this for some reason. See how a piece cannot slide in there without breaking it apart? That means you couldn't slide into that. But the grasshopper, if the grasshopper was here, could hop over and drop in to that space. I think that was all the pieces. Anyway, it's a great little game, and it's also nice because this little zip bag is what it all fits in, so easy to take around wherever you're going. And my grandson, who's 5, who likes playing this game, well, he's 6 now actually, but he loves insects, so this is also fun for him. So even for a kid in your life that likes to have a game that has insects on them could be fun too. Okay, now I have Parks, which is one of my very favorite games. It's just beautiful artwork, beautiful components, high quality, really vibrant and interesting, and just a lot of fun to play. And I love hiking, so this is kind of right up my alley, because in this game you're going to be hiking through the national parks during 3 seasons, spring, summer, and fall. And this is your trail, and each time you go through this trail, that's a season. So spring, summer, fall. And then here's your parks you can choose from that you want to visit. This is gear that you can buy along the way that'll give you extra points. You have tents along the trail that allow you to camp that'll give you bonus points. And then on the trail, there's all these resources you can be picking up and putting in your backpack and doing these actions along the way that will get you more resources. And the whole point is to get points by visiting the parks, and you visit the parks by providing the resource that it needs. So like this park needs 4 waters, and it's fitting because it's the Everglades. So for example, if it's on my turn, let's say the yellow person I should say, and let's say that I'm here, which says I can either visit a park or reserve a park. And if I want to visit one of the parks that I've reserved already, this one needs a mountain, a tree, a sun, and a water, and I have that. So I could take this. I need a mountain, a tree, a sun, and a water. And I can visit that park. And once I have visited it, now it's going to be worth 5 points to me at the end of the game. And since I landed on this spot, I also can take that water. And I can put that in my backpack to save maybe to go to this park later on to visit. But I also can fill my canteen and activate the things that are in my canteen. So I could pick up a tree for a resource. And parks means I can either reserve one of these or I can try to visit this one. I don't have enough to go to this one, so I'm going to reserve one. And I think I will reserve Everglades. And I'll fill that spot. And that's how the game progresses, and the hikers move along the trail. You get the resource that's there. You do the action. This one, they can either take a picture or put something in your canteen. Taking a picture is good because that is the other way to earn points at the end of the game. You get a point for every picture that you have. And the pictures are phenomenal. They look like, Polaroids, but like, it's just so fun. Like, look at this mountain picture. They're great. That's half the fun for me, is picking out which picture I want. And let's see what else. If a person lands here, and I would get that sun, and I would get a tree. Let's see how I'm looking. I don't need any trees here. I need to have a park that has trees. But because the ladybug is here, that is the shutterbug. I should put this up here. Pretend like it's the beginning of the game. The shutterbug. I got there first, so I get the shutterbug badge, which allows me to take 2 pictures anytime that I take a picture. And taking pictures, remember, earns you points. My husband does a major focus on picture taking when he plays, and he beats me just about every time. I'm always like, well, I want to go to this park and that park, and I'm always going to tons and tons of parks, but it seems like every time he ekes out the win because of all of his photos that he has. Let's see what else. Gear just gives you different bonuses or resources depending on what it is. Like this one, if I had paid for it, like if I wanted to buy this one for 2 suns, I could use a sun because it says 2 suns, and I can use a wildlife as a wild for my sun and get this gear, and it says I get a mountain every time I'm at 2 suns. And then I would save my gear here, and you can just accumulate those throughout the game. Super fun. If you go camping, you can land on whichever one of these you want and choose it. So like this one, you get a tree and you can take a picture. Look at all the trees I have. I'll take a picture with my tree, because I don't need that many trees. So at the end of the game, after 3 seasons, you just tally up how many parks, the point value and the point value of your photos. And then also at the end of each season, you would have bonuses depending on the season. This one said at the end of spring, whoever has the most trees in their backpack gets to reserve a park. Well, that's me. I definitely had the most trees. So then I would look up here and go, okay, I need a park with trees to go to, so I'm going to reserve this one. So you can get quite a stack of parks reserved before you can start visiting them sometimes. But it's good to snag them up while you can. So this one needs 3 trees and a sun, and I actually have 3 trees and a wild of salmon, so I could do that one. So let's just pretend that I went to the end of the game, at the end of the trail, and went to that park, so I could visit this one. 1, 2, 3 trees and a wild for my sun. And this particular park gets an immediate bonus if I get to roll the dice. So I would roll this dice, and it says I get a canteen. So then I get in this super cute little canteen bag and pick one, or I can choose one of the ones on display over here. And I'll just see what I pull out of here. Okay, it's a mountain. Okay. And then there's this cute little gear bag that's for these little tokens that are on here too. It's just an incredible game. Here's the other backpack and canteen colors. I wanted to make sure I gave you a close-up look at some of these photos too, some of the options that you have to pick from. I see sunsets and a horse, northern lights, fish, mountains, cougars, all kinds of different things. It's so fun. I feel like they've thought of every little detail that they possibly could. And then I wanted to show you one more thing, which is the wildlife that is so fun. We won't get to look at all of them, but I'll put a few of them out here. This is part of the deluxe game. You get the nice coloring on these. In the standard game, they're not painted. So amazing. Super fun game. Hope you enjoyed seeing that. Next up, I have Patchwork, which means you're going to be building a patchwork quilt on your quilt board. Every player will have this, and you'll be choosing scraps from around the table to construct your quilt. What's important is to get quilt pieces with buttons on them, because when you have buttons, you can buy pieces, but more importantly, at the end of the game, you win by who has the most buttons. So on my turn, for example, I'd have 2 options. I could either choose a tile or a piece of fabric from out here, or I can move on the time board only. If I wanted to move here, I can choose from the next 3, any one of the next 3 pieces. So if I wanted to take this guy, it's cost me 5 buttons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I can fit them in on here anywhere that I want to. I could even stick it over here if I wanted to. And they are 2-sided, which is important when it's a different shape. Like for example, this shape, it's important to be able to flip it how you want it. This particular shape I have doesn't really matter. Just so you know that. And then it says I also need to move 4 on the time board. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it would be the next player's turn, and they would go and they'd choose from the next 3 tiles, or maybe they don't want those, and so they decide they just want to move on the time board. And so they would move to however many spaces it would be to get 1 space ahead of me. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. that earns them 5 buttons then. 3, 4, 5. So that would be for the other player. The other tricky thing in this game is whoever is behind gets to go first, and sometimes you might be behind multiple turns in a row, and so you get to go several turns in a row all by yourself, and the other person has to sit and wait. So it's kind of fun how that works out. And you just keep progressing around the board, choosing tiles and fitting them onto your board. Everybody has their own shape that develops, of course. So like I can turn this one this way and put it in here. And so then let's say one time I go and I pass that button. I forgot to have my other guy get a payday, but I don't have a board out here for him. But because I passed the button, I get a payday now for that. So I count my buttons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I get 7 buttons. I can take a 5 and 2 1s and get my buttons. So you keep going, your board develops. This little piece is a special bonus for when somebody gets a 7 by 7 square completely filled in on their board. They would get an extra 7 points at the end of their game if they had that piece. Otherwise, it just stays there. Then at the end of the game, you count up your buttons, but then you have some subtracting to do, because no doubt you're going to have some empty space. Not this much empty space, but you'll have some empty space that you weren't able to fill. Especially it's hard when you get like, let's see, how could I do it here? Sometimes you end up with like one little slot to put one in like that. And the only way to fill that is if you happen to be the first one to pass one of these patches on the time board, and then you could win that one and stick it in there. But anyway, for every space you do not have filled in, you subtract 2 points. So it ends up to be a very, at least every time we played, a very low scoring game. It'll be like 25 minus, 15 or 20 points for not having them all filled in. And so it ends up being a score of like 5 to 10 or something like that. Pretty fun. The other thing that's cool about this game, it's the makers of it have done other varieties. It's the exact same game, but the artwork is different. So like there's a Christmas version. There is, I think, a 4th of July version. I'm trying to think. I feel like there's 3 of them. I'd like to get the Christmas one just for fun. But we have really enjoyed this. And my husband too, like regardless of it being like a quilting theme, what it is just a puzzling fit together, and he loves puzzles. So anyone who likes to do puzzles is going to like this visual representation here. The theme doesn't bother him at all. Okay, it's a good one. Okay, I've got the last game for you, and this is called Three Sisters, and it is a roll and write game, which means you're going to be rolling dice, and then you'll have these 2 pieces of paper that, depending on what the dice and this rondelle board tell you, you're going to be marking them off. And what you're doing is gardening. You have a backyard garden where you're growing crops. You've got a vegetable garden, which is made of the 3 sisters, which is corn, beans, and squash, because they grow together synergistically. And the corn grows up and the beans wrap around, and the squash or pumpkins are the ground cover. So you have that area of your garden. You have a perennial garden, an apiary, a fruit orchard, and then of course you have a shed with all of your tools in it. And each of these areas of your garden, depending on how many things you mark off, are going to gain you points, and the most points at the end of the game wins. And what's fun about this game is there are so many ways that you can earn points. Like you can really focus on really growing your garden crops, your corn and beans and pumpkins, or you can really focus on getting lots of fruit or perennials. All the different avenues of gaining points are capable of winning the game. So it's just whatever strikes your fancy. And it's fun too, because each time you play the game, you can choose to like, okay, this game, I'm just going to see how far I can go if I just try to go gangbusters on my perennials. So it's fun to get the variation in the game because of that. There's going to be so much of this game I'm not going to be able to explain right now in a nutshell that it's going to make sense, but I will try to give you a sense of how things can be marked off. What is fun about this game is eventually as your papers start getting filled up, you start having a chaining reaction of events that get you to be able to mark off more things. So for example, if we look at this paper here, especially down here, like let's say in the perennials, let's say, if I was to mark off a hyacinth right here, that is worth 2 goods. So I can go over here to my goods and mark off the next one, which is actually a bonus one. So I get another bonus star. So that's 1 plus 1 more. And then when I go to, this isn't a very good example of a chaining one. That's an example of a really mild chaining one where you do one move and it gets you to do another. But eventually, it's hard to get it preset up here, but eventually you'll be having 2, 3, 4 different chaining things that happens as your papers fill up. Goods are a good thing to have because eventually you'll be going to the farmer's market, and depending on how many goods you have, you get to do the action that's next to it. So the more you have, like I just got 20 here, so the next time I was able to go to the farmer's market here on the board, or like here at the end of round 3, you get to go to the farmer's market. So I have 20 goods, so I would get to get a perennial. I could mark off 1, plus I can mark off a fruit. So I could go over here, and here's an example of another chaining. If I picked my daffodil and marked off 1, that also says I can go do a shed. So I'll go over here and I'll finish up this shed. And now this bonus that is related to this line here, I'm going to get this bonus at the end of the game. And then I also still have 1 more fruit that I can do. So I could do this. I'll do a raspberry, which gains me 3 more goods. 1, 2, 3, and now I only need 1 more to get another bonus. And these bonus stars here, I can use at any time in the game, and I'm just able to mark off anything on my paper except for something in the garden area. So if I wanted to use those right now, let's see, I could use, let's say, use 2 of them, 1, 2, and I'll put them right here on my daffodil, 1, 2, and it gives me another shed. So I can come up to my shed and say, okay, what do I want to do next? I like this fancy labels because it gets me more flowers at the farmer's market. Once I fill it up, I get to get 1 more flower every time I go to the market. And the flowers, if you get to the top, are worth 4, 6, 10, 12, 7, or 1. So some of these here in the middle are worth a lot of points. So I would mark that one off and then work towards getting that all filled in. There's lots and lots of various ways of winning, like I said, and that's what makes it fun. And if you're kind of a pen and paper or pencil and paper kind of person and like methodically doing things, you can really just get engrossed in it and have a lot of fun doing it. So let me just show an example of a turn too. So whoever's turn it is gets to roll the dice, but it's for everybody, and you take the lowest one, goes where Farmer Edith is, and then the next one, these are the same, so they would go together on shed time, and then she goes up here to start for the next round. And so what would happen is if I picked, say, 4, that means I get to plant or water in zone 4 of my main garden. So I would go over here to zone 4. If I wanted to do a pumpkin, that gives me 1 good. I got another good, so that's another star that I can put there to use whenever I want. And then I get to do the action, which is shed time. So I'll go over here and I'll get another mark on my fancy label. So I'm only 1 away now from getting that bonus of gaining an extra flower at the farmer's market. So you take turns doing that, and then when the round is done, I should say, you do the event that's that it says here at the round. So at this round, at the end of the round, everybody gets to go to farmer's market. So at farmer's market, you have to see how many goods you have, and at this point I have 25. So it doesn't get me any extra yet. So 20, I get a flower and a fruit again. So I could go over here and get another flower on my daffodil, which gives me another shed. Now I got that one done. And then I get a fruit, and I'll pick another raspberry, so I get 3 more goods. 1, 2, 3. And after 8 rounds, the game is over. You just tally up your points and see who has the most points. I would say it takes maybe 45 minutes to play the game with 2 people. And this game is, I think, around $30. Super fun. And by the way, there's no end to the roll and write games if you are into that kind of thing. And these dice are beautiful too. Just really nice. The other things that you can do, let's see, there's compost. Compost you accumulate over here, and that lets you change the number on your dice by however many. So if you wanted to spend 3 compost and make the 4 a 1, if you really wanted to plant in zone 1, something like that, you could do that. And then there's also rain events where you get to water everything on your board. I think that's about it. Yeah, super fun game. And small box, which is nice. And pretty portable for and durable for taking somewhere, on the plane or whatever. You could roll the dice in the box potentially if you wanted to. Okay, well that is the end of all the games. I hope that was fun to learn about, and maybe it gave you some ideas of games you might want to get, or people that might enjoy them, or if you might enjoy them. And I also want to let you know I'm going to be doing another video on games, but it's going to be about kids games. So if you've got kids on your list, be sure to check out that one. There's so many great kids games as well. I've been buying them like crazy this year for all my grandkids and really having a lot of fun playing with them. So I'll get that one out next, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.